What's going on, everybody? Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. I'm Shelby. I know you guys can't see me on camera right now, but my name is Shelby Tyrone Clark Jr. I am a marketing and growth strategist and founder of SC Digital Solutions and Consulting, or SCDSC for short. What I do is I help brands and individuals turn attention into real results and not just views, okay? So tonight, what we're going to do tonight is we're going to step into something deeper, not just some surface level talk, not feel good advice. What we're going to do is we're going to be breaking down the system behind narcissism, control, and why so many people stay stuck in cycles they don't fully understand. And as you can see here, I am joined by someone who's been doing the real work in this space, right? Apryl Reavis, the founder of the Narcissist Journals.
Hello.
She's built a platform focused on helping people identify, process, and break free from narcissistic patterns using structure and not just emotions. April, appreciate you being here. I'm pretty sure the viewers are too. So let's go on ahead and get straight on into this, right? What if I told you narcissists don't actually care about love, healing, let alone even trying to fix themselves? What if the whole game is really about control and you've been the supply this whole time. So, April,
Yes.
break this down simple. What does supply actually mean in a relationship?
With a narcissist?
Yes.
It means they need you to supply their, you need to supply them with validation, continuously making them comfortable, building a world around what they need, what they say. You're kind of constantly feeding, well, you're really feeding their ego. The supply is to feed their ego.
Okay. So if someone constantly needs your attention, or let alone emotions, right, just to feel good about themselves, that's supply?
Well, yeah, because you should be able to feel good about you. You shouldn't need someone else to make you feel good. You should be able to do that yourself.
Right.
If you need someone else to continuously make you feel good and not value themselves, then that's kind of supply. They need all your energy. They want to deplete you of everything.
Okay.
So kind of to build themselves up, but I don't think they ever completely get filled, because you can't be filled unless you know who you are or love yourself, actually.
And I believe that. I think that goes into self-love. Self-love is the best love, right?
Well, you can't really fully love someone else if you don't love yourself. How can you love them from a place of anything but needing something? Needing probably some more supply.
That's true. So why does it feel like narcissists care more about control than love?
I mean, I guess I don't want to say my fear or whatever, but I feel like at a point in their life, they didn't have control. And usually it's somewhere in their childhood. And they didn't have control over a situation, their childhood, or something in their life that was traumatic. So control comes kind of from that. They need control.
So in other words, it gives them stability.
Well, a sense of stability. I don't think they really know what stability is, but in their mind, the illusion of stability.
Okay.
That they created, because everyone creates one. If you have a trauma, if you grew up in circumstances that you don't want to remember, or you couldn't fully process
The vulnerability.
Yeah.
So and then what they do is they try to avoid that. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, I think they try to avoid feeling anything really, because probably at a time in their life they felt, when they needed something, it was usually from their mother. I mean, I don't want to. That's how I'm gonna have to break it down. It's usually from their mother. So that's why they have a different distorted view of women, in a sense, and maybe they're trying to take out how they wanted to take out what they wanted to take out on their mother. Maybe they take out on you. And if you don't get love from your mother, the first person who's supposed to love you for free or show you a sense of love, you kind of get a distorted sense of love. And that could be from anybody. So I guess for narcissists, it's probably a little extreme.
So always needing to be right or in charge is what you're saying. And obviously that's not love, that's control.
Right.
Okay.
Well, they want to control everything, because they can control everything. They don't have to dig into what's really wrong with them. They can control and keep their mind going on controlling everything else, but they don't have to look at what's really wrong. Kind of just creating chaos and then controlling it, the chaos. Does that make sense? And that's chaos. I mean, their life and everyone else's life in it. That's the control. It comes in every aspect of their life, and then in yours too if you're with them.
All right, so I guess that brings me to my next question. How do narcissists collect supply from the people that they're involved with?
Well, they constantly need you to validate them, do what they say. It's like they want you to constantly take your life and form it around theirs. What they like to eat, what they like to watch, where you go, how long you can go for, And then it's not, I mean, that's a lot of the control too, but the way that they control is, I think, the most impactful, is the most, you understand what I mean?
I always thought it was about them creating some sort of emotional reaction. Love bombing, the arguments, silence, confusion.
Yeah, that's chaos. They like to create chaos so they don't have to look at their problem.
Okay.
They can focus on what the problem that they made,
Oh, okay.
not the one that's really wrong.
So starting drama and ignoring someone just to get a reaction, that's intentional.
It's intentional.
Okay.
Because they need your that's part of the control part. That's not really the reaction they want. That's part of the control when they do that. Because they want you to need them. They want you to wonder like why they're not talking to you, or why they did this. Like everything is constantly around them and what they did or what they're going to do or what you're trying to prevent them from doing, which doesn't matter because you can do everything right, and then they'll say the one thing wrong, and then the next time you do that one thing, and then it's something else. So it's never about the emotions, it's about the control.
All right. So can someone be used as a supply without them even knowing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could be knee deep in it before you realize what the fuck is really going on. Or some people, maybe they don't ever catch it. But after a while, if you deal with one continuous one after another, you start to pick up on that shit.
Okay, so in other words, someone can think that they're in a real relationship, but they're actually just being used.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that does sound like a reality. One more question, then we're going to take a quick commercial break. If narcissists hurt people, right, why don't they just go to therapy?
Well, I don't think they really think they need therapy. And I don't think therapy would fit in their controlled environment, their controlled life.
Right.
It's not going to fit because then guess what? They can't control that.
Is that because they're still getting a supply outside of therapy?
Well, I don't understand that.
So
what supply?
The supply from the person. Them getting the validation from the person. They don't feel as if they don't need therapy.
Yeah, and they're not going to get that from the therapist.
So in other words, they don't see a problem with that.
No, they don't think they need therapy. You might be like, there's something really, trust me, really psychologically wrong with this person. But they will not see it. They do not see anything that doesn't make them look the way they see themselves. Do you understand what I mean? They have an illusion and you're not going to break it.
So as long as they're getting attention and control, there's no reason for them to change.
Right. And they're always looking for the next supply before that one runs out. They usually have 2 supplies at once.
That's crazy. That is insane. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick commercial break here. Be right back with you after these quick commercial messages.
You're not confused. You've been conditioned. Arguments, silent treatment, overthinking, scrolling late at night. They didn't love you. They studied you. They learned your patterns, your empathy, your tolerance, and then they used it against you. Let's stop calling it complicated. It was manipulation. It was control. And it was the cost of your peace. But here's the part they never planned for. You waking up. You seeing the pattern. You breaking the cycle. That's what the Narcissist Journals are built for. Not validation, not venting, but reconstruction. You don't just heal. You reprogram how you think, how you respond, and how you move. If you're serious about getting your mind back, your identity back, and your power back, this is where it starts. Scan the QR code in the corner of your screen or tap the link in the bio. You can stay stuck in the cycle, or you can document your own way out. You choose.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, put the chat up here on the screen for you guys in case you guys have any questions. And let's continue on to my next question here. Why do people keep giving supply even when they're getting hurt?
I don't think that a lot of them realize like that's what is actually happening because you're so consumed in like trying to maintain your situation, or maybe even trying to still figure some of it out. But and the whole time you're still constantly having to, you know, to make the situation like you're trying to, you know, you're trying to live in the situation, survive. I don't, even though survive, because I think some people just feel like they're making their situation work like they've always done. They don't, you know, you don't want to leave, but it's a lot. It's a lot to take in, and you're constantly giving, and I mean not only giving like financially, you're giving your emotions, you're giving you're constantly confused because you're like, what? I know I didn't do anything. You know what I mean? And it's just like you're mentally trying to figure it out, and I don't know in everyone's situation, but you're physically healing all the time because you're getting your ass whooped, because that's another form of the control. They have to control you with words, they control you with making you feel just low. Like they just don't want you to feel good about yourself.
Like
I think they want you, well, they kind of want you to feel, I think, how they do. So they kind of like live their pain through you. They'll inflict it, the pain they never got over from whatever happened to them, and take it out on you.
So even when you know it's toxic, you still feel pulled back in. Like it's a cycle almost.
Yeah, but you're still trying to figure it out. It's very confusing. Almost like you're in like, I don't even know how to explain the right words for it. It's very, very unsettling. You know what I'm saying? It's unsettling. It's very mentally exhausting, physically exhausting, emotionally exhausting, but you're still going. You're still giving. You're still trying to, you know, not do something to trigger something, and then, but you're constantly like you're overdoing it because you're trying to figure out the next thing. You don't want to do that situation wrong. You're still trying to fix whatever, understand the last one that just happened. You know what I mean? And it's a lot. You don't know what you're walking into. You don't know what you're waking up to. It's a lot.
So, do you think you can give us a few examples or signs that someone is treating you like a supply?
Well, if they're only nice to you, kind of like when they need or want something, or to get back on your good side after something they did hurt you or bothered you to the point where you really don't even want to be with this person. Like then they're nice, and they kind of just, and they've studied you, so you know it's kind of, they studied you, so they kind of know, they know you, they studied you, so they can use it against them. So they know like when this situation comes, and it works. It works. Because you're like, you're already kind of like not feeling the best about yourself, you know, depending on where you're at in your life. You don't feel the best about yourself. So you'll kind of take the less than, or you'll take maybe next time he change and it'll work out, or it wasn't that bad. Then you start creating illusions. Well, it wasn't that bad. No, it really was. You know what I mean? So it's like, but you're constantly giving, and you don't get anything in return. You're just constantly trying to, I don't know, fix a person that doesn't think they're broken. That's the kind of saddest part.
And that sounds like a red flag, if you ask me. Because if someone only hits you up when it benefits them, that's a red flag, right?
Right, but you know, a lot of times when you're at a point in your life where you have ignored red flags for so long, the red flags aren't as bright as they used to be. You know what I mean? Right. They're kind of like, you know, you gotta look a little harder, or they gotta be a little bit more like, what's bigger than the red flag?
A really big red flag.
Yeah, it needs to be like
bigger than red flag.
And they do come. When you keep ignoring them, they come.
Like there's no green flags over here, no white flags either, only red flags. That's crazy. All right, so how do you stop being somebody's supply?
Well, you have to start well, for me personally, I had to start to want to give myself. I just wanted something different. Like I knew that this was not like the things that they were saying when they break you down emotionally and try to paint a picture in your mind of who you are, that's where I kind of, for me, it kind of clicked. Like, am I going to let this person make me into somebody I'm not again? And I'm really not. And it's not even a good person. Like, they don't even want to make you into a good person. They want to make you into the person they want you to be so they can use it against you when they need to. They want you to feel like you're a bum-ass bitch, or you're a whore from Easton, or you're a dick-sucking... Can I say that?
I mean, hopefully you don't get
I'm sorry.
tickets.
I'm sorry.
Like that, but.
And I'm like, wow, I'm really not. And then you're trying to justify it to a person that wants to see you like that.
Mm.
So that's, for me, it was like, nah, like, am I going to choose this over anything else?
So it's kind of like saying your truth and not just the truth.
Well, you guys kind of just have to want something. You have to want change first.
Right.
I think the rest comes later because I just, at the time, I just didn't want that.
Mm.
You understand what I mean? I just didn't want that again. I didn't want to pick someone else to make me feel like that ever again. For me, that's where it was drawing. I had to draw the line.
So you were setting boundaries, is what you're saying.
I started to. Small ones at first. Because
Right.
it takes time, you know what I mean? They still have a hook in you a little bit, you know what I mean? In the beginning, I'm not gonna lie. But for me, like, I literally went through the last situation in the situation. Like, I literally played it out till it completely end. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not gonna even lie. Like, there was times even a couple months in, like, I was setting my boundaries slowly. But for someone who didn't ever have boundaries and allowed
People just
to make my boundaries, or just it was a slower process, but it was worth it.
Mm-hmm. So, in other words, you stopped engaging, right? And you stopped feeding into the drama.
Absolutely. And I actually started to.
And that was how you cut it off?
Well, no, I started to speak up a little bit more for myself. Like, no, I'm not that. When it was harder for my situation because I was in a physical situation also. So there was some fear I had was drawn in me that I had to process through too. So I was trying to work through that too, because that fear is hard. You know what I mean? Because it sets in your nervous system along with everything else you never process fully, and it takes a toll. So it took time for me to just see, like, I needed something different, and I was the only one who could do that because I was the one who kept choosing it. And it didn't seem like it didn't seem like an easy decision at the time, but it actually was. And I could have done it so many times because you choose your life. You know what I mean? But you let other people take control that takes your power. You don't feel like you have that choice, but you do.
All right. So what does it mean when you have to try and manage your boundaries like they manage their supplies?
You just have to start, okay, everything you were giving them, you kind of have to start giving it to yourself. And if you start to just stand up for things that are just actually genuinely you and not in like a malice way, just simple as like wearing your hair like you want to wear it, wearing the outfit that you want to wear, not the one you know that he would say something about, or anyone else, not just them, anyone. Like, you just have to do what you want to do to find out who you actually kind of are in a way. You know what I mean? Just feed all that energy back into yourself. All that supply, put it back into yourself. You just don't give it to them anymore.
So, in other words, being intentional.
Yeah, absolutely. Just as hard as you work to make those relationships work that were never going to work for you, work that hard to get yourself back.
So in other words, you're saying, like, track your behaviors, like your actual behaviors and tendencies and things like that. Knowing your triggers, and like I said before, being intentional.
Right.
So if they've been studying your reactions, it's pretty much time to start studying yourself, is what you're saying, right?
Absolutely. That's where accountability comes in. You don't think that you can't get out of a situation and blame everything on everyone else involved and not you.
Right.
But you were there too. You chose it. So you have to look at why you chose it. why do you keep choosing it over and over again? Those are patterns. Those are the reasons why. And it's different, it's going to be different for different people, but that's why you keep choosing it. There's a reason behind it.
All right, so do narcissists know that they are actually using people as a supply?
I don't know if, I don't know if it connects that they're actually, I think they're definitely intentional on what they're doing.
Right.
But I don't think if you ask a lot of them, are you a narcissist? They'll be like, what? Do you know what I mean? Like the actual word narcissist. And I think they just do what they think they have to do to make, they're so disconnected from who they are, just the same as you are.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? They're just as disconnected from who they are. So, you know what I mean? They will do anything not to kind of like rehash that, or even just, they created an illusion. They created a life for themselves that works for them. So I don't think they feel like they're really doing anything wrong, if that makes sense.
So in other words, they realize what they're doing, or better yet, that's just who they are.
I mean, do I think that they, you ask them, do that, or do they think they're wrong? Like, do they think they're wrong?
Yeah.
I think they know when they're wrong. I think they know when I think they know when they're wrong, but I think they use that to their advantage. I think the only time they actually may feel some remorse is when you cut them off completely.
Okay.
You have to cut them off completely. Unfortunately,
no contact.
No contact.
All right, so that kind of brings me to my next question, because I've actually dealt with a narcissist before,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt as if that this kind of question kind of correlates to it. But can someone who has been diagnosed with NPD, or let alone just have NPD traits, can someone like that switch from loving you to using you as a supply?
You mean you think they ever loved you?
Yeah.
No.
So it was never real from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think that hits hard for a lot of people.
It does, because it's uncomfortable, because guess what? You have to really work on yourself, because that, if you're not, that's triggering, that's going to trigger something really deep in you.
Right.
To get the answer. You're never going to get the answer to that question. I just answered it. You're not going to find it. It's not going to change. I'm so sorry. Trust me. I wanted it to change too, honestly. But it's not. It's not. And they, even after the fact, when you think, wow, no, they've just moved on to someone else. They did.
Okay, so now that you mentioned about moving on, why do narcissists, I don't want to say these people, but why do narcissists come back after you move on? Like, why do they suddenly reach out when you're finally starting to do better for yourself?
Because for a lot of them, it's kind of a game. And they don't like to lose, because losing kind of makes them feel, losing doesn't fit in their illusion that they created. And that doesn't fit in their control. They lost control. So what you just did is kind of, you cut off access to yourself, even though they've already got access to someone else, and then the one before, in my case. So they really just want to try to just get that back. And they're trying to get, it's not like they miss a feeling, or they just miss access. They miss the control part, because they love control. I mean, they're not all the same, so you know what I mean? Is there any out there that might have felt like something? Yeah, maybe in those situations, maybe they were just scared. But I don't know. If you're so scared, but you're intentionally hurting people, I don't know. This doesn't kind of fit. You know what I mean?
That sounds more like revenge, if anything. Like from the saying, hurt people hurt people.
Well, I think when I hear that statement, I don't think it means I think it means they're hurting internally.
Right.
So they don't. A lot of them don't intentionally hurt you. It's just
bleeding out on
right.
Right.
They have to bleed their wounds onto you, or so to speak. And narcissists want you to live out their pain, because they don't want to process it. They want you to process it. That's what they're doing. They want you to process their pain so they don't have to. And I think some of them, it feels good.
So, after dealing with all of this, right? When you, even I believe you, even myself, have ignored the narcissist, is ignoring the narcissist the best way to stop giving supply to them?
No, because I mean, you have to. Are you doing it for? What? It depends on the reason. If you don't cut them off,
right?
Um.
So like, hold on, before you continue any further, I just want to interject here. So like, does not texting back or reacting actually make them lose interest in you?
Maybe after time, they lose less interest.
Mm.
But if there was ever a chance for them to get that access back, or win the game, or get back into the game, they'll definitely take it. But it wouldn't be for the reasons you think. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
I was going to say something else, but I can't remember.
It happens. I get the brain fog too sometimes. So one more question, then we're going to take another quick commercial break here, ladies and gentlemen. Why do narcissists get worse when you set these boundaries? Like, why do they get mad and act crazy when you finally say no to them?
Because you never did before. So why now? Do you know what I mean? Why now? And all their tactics usually work. Do you know what I mean? Because they've studied you, so they kind of know. But unfortunately, they don't expect the part where, well, they studied the version of you that allowed it. When you change that version, they don't have, their guide doesn't work anymore. But, the book they wrote about you, it doesn't work. And what they told everybody, and you start to show up who you really are, and it doesn't fit the illusion they created,
So do you believe that there is a such thing as reverse narcissism, where it's more or less like the person who has set the boundaries is pretty much projecting everything onto the narcissist, which makes them mad because of how the narcissist may have been perceived in a way, or the perception of them was?
Well, I feel like, you mean like their illusions cracking kind of people are really going to see that. Actually, because then if everyone else sees who they are, then they might have to really sit, and they don't want that.
Oh, okay.
They want their illusion to stick because it works for them, and they can just bleed on everybody else, so they don't have to internally do it themselves.
All right. Well, we'll take another quick commercial break, and because I need some water myself, my throat's getting dry here. We'll be right back in a few seconds here, ladies and gents.
You're not confused. You've been conditioned. Arguments, silent treatment, overthinking, scrolling late at night. They didn't love you. They studied you. They learned your patterns, your empathy, your tolerance, and then they used it against you. Let's stop calling it complicated. It was manipulation. It was control. And it was the cost of your peace. But here's the part they never planned for. You waking up. You seeing the pattern. You breaking the cycle. That's what the Narcissist Journals are built for. Not validation, not venting, but reconstruction. You don't just heal. You reprogram how you think, how you respond, and how you move. If you're serious about getting your mind back, your identity back, and your power back, this is where it starts. Scan the QR code in the corner of your screen or tap the link in the bio. You can stay stuck in the cycle, or you can document your own way out. You choose.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. So, Ms. Reavis, next question here. Can a narcissist fake change just to keep their supply? Pretty much, I was kind of like correlating to the last question I just asked you before.
What do you mean fake change?
Can they pretend to be better just to keep you around?
Absolutely. They'll do whatever. They will do whatever. They will use whatever. They'll do good, bad. They will use it all. Whatever they have to do. Just depends on how deep. They're different. There's different narcissists.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
So it
definitely
depends on which one.
like autism.
Depends on which one you deal with.
Covert.
Yeah, oh yeah. the games begin.
True, so true. So why does it feel like they understand you so well when you first meet them at first? Like, why do they seem perfect in the beginning? Like they really understand you and they really get you. Like they actually know you. Like they believe that you're not going to change.
You mean like when you first meet them?
Yes.
Does it feel like it's really like you're connecting with someone really on an intense level?
Yeah, pretty much like dealing with the whole love bombing situation.
Well, I think it's kind of where you're at in your life at the point you meet them. It could tell a lot about that situation, because if you're meeting them at a place where you're not processed something fully, you're not gonna, you're gonna be more open or vulnerable to like you wanting to feel that connection more. So you might feel it more intensely and not see, you're feeling it more intensely because you're not trying to process something else. That happened, like for me, it was like I was going through a lot. Do you know what I mean? And I hadn't fully processed it all, and I was just trying to make sense of it all. And then you meet them and you're like, you just kind of need something, like this, I don't want to say a distraction. You just need something, you know what I mean? Because everything else is just a lot. It's heavy. It gets very, very heavy. So you allow someone, and then, if you're a good person and you want to see good in people, sometimes you don't see what you need to see, but maybe for me, I take it like I should have seen a lot of signs in a lot of other people, and I just chose to ignore them because I was running from myself too. So I'm not going to blame anyone else for those situations because I chose them. But I didn't realize at the time that I really just needed to fix myself and then pick somebody from that place, because when you pick somebody from a place where they're not good and you're not good, anything can kind of go astray or whatever, or the connection isn't really built on what it should be built on, because it's built on unprocessed shit from something else. That's not a foundation. That's not
really
connection.
Not. It's really not. And us as humans, we're really meant for only two things. That's connection and contraception. So this brings us to my next question. What's the difference between love and emotional control? In other words, when dealing with a narcissist, how can you tell if someone really cares, or just a person in general, after or before dealing with a narcissist? How can you tell if someone really cares or just wants control over you?
Well, say it again, I'm sorry.
So whether it's before or after dealing with a narcissist, how can you actually tell if someone really cares or just wants control over you?
Well, okay, if you dealt with a narcissist and you chose to change and not to take it anymore, you're going to be able to see the control, because you're not going to tolerate anything in your life like that again, because you're going to see things differently. You're going to see things from a different perspective than you always have, and you won't allow it. You just won't allow it on any level, or you won't allow it to affect you like it did before, because that's really their problem too. And you'll be able to see people just from a different place.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
So when dealing with the narcissist, why do they always feel as if they need to twist the story to make it look like you're the problem? Like, why do they act like everything is your fault even when it's not?
Well, because that's control. They want to control the narrative. They want to write the story, control the narrative.
So gaslighting.
Yeah,
much,
I mean,
right?
whatever. Yeah. They just want to control the whole entire scenario.
Yeah, that kind of sucks when you think about
It
it.
does.
So can you accidentally become addicted to being somebody's supply, or being a narcissist supply? Can you become addicted to that? Like, can you get used to all the drama and the attention that you're getting, even if it's hurting you?
I think you can control the chaos. You can definitely control it, but it doesn't ever really go away. It just sits inside you in different places and then comes out in different behaviors in you. And then you kind of start to look like you're a manipulator.
Right.
But you're not. You just have so much shit unprocessed in you that it has to come out somehow, and it comes out in, if you don't address your issues, they come out in patterns, behaviors, extreme bursts of anger out of nowhere, like uncontrolled. Like you might say something like, "Damn, did I fucking say that?"
Right.
That's the shit coming out. It's just it doesn't go away. It goes inside you. It sits in your nervous system. Controls your fucking moods and your life and your fucking decisions, and it's just stuck in bullshit.
So even after all, like the pain, the trauma. Okay. So even after all the pain and trauma and gaslighting and emotional abuse and mental abuse that a person goes through when dealing with a narcissist, why do they always test you? Like pretty much kind of like poke the sleeping bear after you end up pulling away. Like why do they suddenly act nice all of a sudden, or let alone start drama when you stop talking to them?
Well, I mean, the nice part is for them to get back in. And the drama part is just to keep their illusion alive, so no one starts to see it fall apart. All the lies they told, all the shit they had to tell to make you look like the villain in their story.
Right.
You know, and it starts, you know, then that's chaos too. But they don't like that chaos. You know why? They can't control that chaos.
That makes sense. That makes a hell of a lot of sense. So what's the fastest way to recognize a supply pattern early? In other words, what are the first signs that you can point out for the viewers watching, before things get toxic for them?
I mean, probably if someone meets you and they like overly, I guess, gaslight. They're overly affectionate and they love you so quick, and like it's just so quick and too much. But then it can flip very quickly. So I would say look for someone who attaches too quickly. You're like, I just met you like 2 weeks ago, bro. Do you know what I mean? But they're already like, oh, I can't live without you. You've been doing it this long.
Right.
But you just think, oh my God, you can't live without me. So fuck. Oh yeah. No tea, no shade, because I was there, sister. Don't even go there. You're preaching to the fucking choir right here.
So when a narcissist moves on, they move on fairly quickly, right? So
I don't think they move. I think they've already moved on.
All right, so let's say they do move on. Why do they move on? Is someone calling the phone? It looks like they had a phone call here.
Oh, hopefully my kid.
Okay, it's your mom actually. So what was my question? Here we go. Why do narcissists move on so quickly like nothing happened? Or even though they've already moved on, how can they act like you meant nothing right after everything that happened between the two of you?
Well, I mean, because if you're not giving them kind of what they need, what use are you to them? Do you know what I mean?
That makes sense.
You know, be nice and play the game, then maybe you can stick around for another week or so. You know what?
So can you ever have a healthy relationship with a narcissist? Like, is it possible to make it work if you actually are trying?
Yeah, you could actually make it work, but you'll have to give a lot. A piece you'll have to give up yourself for them, because you'll have to conform to what they want, what they like, what they need, and then it'll work if you keep giving it to them.
All right, so this brings me to my final question, and I'm gonna close out. What's the biggest mistake people make when dealing with a narcissist? In other words, what's the one thing people keep doing that actually keeps them stuck?
Keeps them stuck in the situation.
Yeah.
Just kind of like, it's kind of like a personal internal thing. Like you have to kind of want more for yourself and look into like why you feel like you don't deserve it. Like why do you feel like you need this person that's treating you like complete shit to love you or to make you feel pretty or feel useful or feel needed or feel wanted or feel anything? But you really, you're wanting that from a place that doesn't know what it wants. It just wants what it's used to having or not having, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, Like I say, I call it like an illusion of love. Like you're chasing the love, but a love that was formed out of your own illusion.
That makes sense.
Bunch of illusions going on there.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Smoky mirrors.
All right, so I guess we just keep it 100 at this point. Like, let's just be real. So the whole time there's been like a system running. You know, they've been tracking your emotions, controlling controlling the whole entire situation, and really just keeping you in the cycle. Now it's your move at this point, right? So if you guys are serious, if you guys have been watching the live, and if you're serious about breaking the cycle, gaining clarity, and even taking your power back, tap in with Miss Reavis here, the founder of the Narcissist Journals, along with her repertoire doing her Shadow Truth Tarot and her Shadow Truth Reflective Journal. Because this obviously is not about feelings anymore. This is about control. In other words, stop being the supply and start running your life. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Shelby Tyrone Clark Jr., founder of SCDSC, and here with Miss Apryl Reavis. And we're about to take off, y'all. Doses, y'all. It's your man Shelby. I'm out. Y'all be easy.
Can I paint this shirt?